2022 has been a roller coaster ride in the housing market, maybe nowhere more crazy than Austin, Texas. We have been super busy over here. Let me tell you about what we've been doing and what we're seeing in the market. We started off 2022 with very strong buyer demand. Interest rates were still low and we still had really tight inventory in the Austin area. And so the beginning of the year, it was really following the pattern that we had seen in 2020 and 2021, where pretty much every house that went on the market got multiple offers, and that was driving prices really high, really fast. I would say like January through mid-April, that's what we experienced in Austin. Well, then in the late spring is when the big news story of this year hit, and that is when interest rates started rising really quickly. Interest rates fluctuate all the time. They, of course, impact how expensive it is to borrow money, and so how expensive it is to buy a house. But the difference this year was that they rose exponentially fast. And so they went from like around a 3% at the beginning of the year to between 5 and 6% by the late spring. That caused a lot of buyers to rework their numbers and realize that buying the house they wanted suddenly got extremely expensive, much more expensive over a short period of time. As this happened, the houses I was listing in the late spring and early summer suddenly stopped getting multiple offers. They stopped getting as much traffic. They stopped getting buyers that were beating down the door to get in and want to write an offer. And instead of getting 5, 6, 20 offers the first weekend, they might sit for 2 weeks before they got an offer. So that was a huge and unexpected change, very alarming for a lot of sellers. That's what started all the panic in the news cycle. Then as we moved into the summer, which is usually a pretty robust time for housing, especially in Austin, those interest rates continued to rise. And we got to a point where housing really didn't feel affordable because we still had the appreciation of the last couple of years driving prices up, but now interest rates got even higher. So fast forward to where we're sitting now in early November, we're sitting right around a 7% interest rate.
Seven's the key number here. Think about it. 7 elevens, 7 doors. 7, man, that's the number.
So we have jumped 4% from January until now. Now, all of this happened at the same time as rising inflation, right? So gas prices are more expensive. Grocery bills are more expensive. I went to the salon, the sign there in the window said their prices were rising. Everything has become more expensive at the same time that these interest rates have hit housing. So if you're a first-time home buyer and you're looking at your budget, you're realizing you need more room for every single category, and then you look to buy a house where you're already tight. Now housing is more expensive. That has put a huge, put the brakes on. Has put a huge slowdown in buyer demand and in buyers' confidence level in writing offers. So let me give you an example of what this would look like. So say you were shopping for a home in January, you were pre-approved for a $500,000 house, you're going to put 20% down, and the interest rate at that time was around 3%. Your monthly payment at that point would have been about $2,800, depending on what property tax was and which insurance package you picked out. So fast forward now, you're looking for the same house. You find the same house listed at $500,000, which actually wouldn't happen, but say you did, and you were getting pre-qualified now. Well, now the interest rate has jumped to 7%. That same $500,000 property, the monthly mortgage now would be about $3,800. So that's $1,000 difference per month, and it happened within like a 6-month period of time. This is also impacting how much a buyer can pre-qualify for. So if you have the same job that you've had all year, you may now qualify for $350, where at a 3% interest rate, you may have qualified for around $500. That is a huge change.
Well, that's really not fair. I know.
And of course, that puts buyers in a really strange position, because if you've been watching the market and having your eye on a $500,000 house or price range, and now suddenly you're looking at $350, well, the kind of house you can buy is completely different, and you may not even want to buy a house at that price point. This huge slowdown in buyer demand happened at the same time that we hit late summer, early fall, which is always our slowest time in the Austin real estate market. We have a very specific cycle in this area. Our spring is always strong. We always see strong appreciation. prices always drop in the late summer, early fall. So there's been some reports that have come out lately showing that our median sales price in April, May of 2022 was $550,000, and that in September it was $470,000. That's accurate, and that sounds like a huge drop in prices. But it's not super accurate to compare May to September. A better comparison would be to compare last September, when our median sales price was $450,000, to this September at $470,000. So if you look year over year, like we usually do when we analyze real estate data, we're still seeing appreciation year over year. Prices have just dropped quickly in a cyclical way. There is so much more we could talk about with Austin real estate data, but just to boil it down to some key takeaways, if you're thinking of buying, my message to you is this: you have not had this much negotiating power in the Austin housing market in 10 years. Use it to your advantage. You can ask a seller to buy interest rates down for you. You have a lot of room for negotiating. You can still buy, and probably easier right now than ever before. My message to you, if you're looking at selling, is that you've got to have your house looking really good, get all those deferred repairs done, and you've got to price it right. When your house goes on the market, you can't expect it to get multiple offers and sell for $100,000 over the asking price. Those days are gone. It's going to take a while. It's going to sit on the market for longer. Buyers are not going to be in a big hurry, and they're going to negotiate with you. But it still will sell if you do things right. And your sales price is most likely going to be higher than it would have been if you sold a year ago. It's just not going to be the frantic, fun, exciting people throwing money in your face wanting your house like it was before. So not as exciting, but still can be done if you need to sell right now. If you want to talk in more detail about the nitty gritty, or just have more questions about what I'm talking about here, please give me a call, send me a DM. I'd love to get to know you more and help you out however I can. Have a great day.